Welcome to my American History Notes, where I read uh, the conclusions I've drawn from studying American history. You may not agree with my conclusions, but you should at least know about what I'm talking about and have your own conclusions. Let's begin talking about the abolitionist movement. Although historians debate the extent of the abolitionists' influence on the nation's political life after 1840, their impact on Northern culture and society is undeniable. As speakers, Frederick Douglass, Wendell Phillips, and Lucy Stone, in particular, became extremely well known. In popular literature, the poetry of John Greenleaf Whittier and James Russell Lowell circulated widely, as did the autobiographies of fugitive slaves such as Douglass, William, and Ellen Craft, and Solomon Northup. Abolitionists exercised a particularly strong influence on religious life, contributing heavily to the schisms that separated the Methodists in 1844 and Baptists in 1845, while founding numerous independent anti-slavery as free churches. In higher education, abolitionists founded Oberlin College, the nation's first experiment in racially integrated coeducation, the Oneida Institute, which graduated an impressive group of African American leaders, and Illinois' Knox College, a Western center of abolitionism. Within the Garrisonian wing of the movement, female abolitionists became leaders of the nation's first independent feminist movement, instrumental in organizing the 1848 Seneca Falls Convention. Although African American activists often complain with reason of the racist and patronizing behavior of white abolitionists, the whites did support independently conducted crusades by African Americans to outlaw segregation in the North and improve education during the 1840s and 1850s. Especially after the passage of the 1850 Fugitive Slave Law, white abolitionists also protected African Americans threatened with capture as escapees from bondage, although blacks themselves largely managed the Underground Railroad. By the later 1850s, organized abolitionism and politics had been subsumed by the larger sectional crisis over slavery prompted by the Kansas-Nebraska Act, the Dred Scott decision, and John Brown's raid on Harper's Ferry. Most abolitionists reluctantly supported the Republican Party, stood by the Union in the secession crisis, and became militant champions of military emancipation during the Civil War. The movement again split in 1865 when Garrison and his supporters asserted that the passage of the 13th Amendment abolishing slavery made continuation of the American Anti-Slavery Society unnecessary. But a larger group led by Wendell Phillips, insisting that the only achievement of complete political equality for all all black males could guarantee the freedom of the former slaves, successfully prevented Garrison from dissolving the society. It continued until 1870 to demand land, the ballot, and education for the freedman. Only when the 15th Amendment extending male suffrage to African Americans was passed did the society declare its mission completed. Traditions of racial egalitarianism begun by abolitionists lived on, however, to inspire the subsequent founding of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People in 1909. Also referred to, I looked at Blanche's The Feminist Abolitionist, written in 1978, Benjamin Quarles, The Black Abolitionist, that's 1970, Stewart's Holy Warriors, The Abolitionists and American Slavery, 1986. As we're going to talk about later in a class that includes history of the welfare state in America, religion in America became overwhelmed with a kind of do-gooder who was less concerned about people getting to heaven than they were about people getting a fair shake here on earth. Religious emphasis began to be focused on improving society rather than winning souls from a burning hell. This eventually secularized many religious denominations where today you would hardly recognize some of them in comparison to their champions of the late 18th and the early 19th centuries. Compare Peter Cartwright and George Whitefield to today's Methodist Church. So you have Florida and Texas admitted to the Union as states in 1845, Wisconsin in 1848, and California in 1850. In 1846, the name Podunk of uncertain origin appeared in writing as a reference to any boring small town. In 1847, a wanderer who was willing to work became a hobo, at least in print. In around 1848, we have grapevine being used to refer to a source of rumor or gossip based on a reference to Samuel Morse's telegraph lines. In 1849, the California Gold Rush introduced a lot of words like pay dirt, but the word for a newcomer who was naive and raw was tenderfoot. In 1850, as one of the many social improvement movements called the temperance movement against consumption of alcohol began to grow, the word prohibition began to be knocked around. Now, I want you to go online and read the text of the speech that the black anti-slavery advocate and former slave Frederick Douglass gave in July 5th, 1852, at Rochester's Corinthian Hall in upstate New York, entitled The Meaning of July 4th for the Negro. The Meaning of July 4th for the Negro. It is free online. You should read it to give you the idea of what Douglass is talking about. Now, Douglass also gave a speech where he denied that the Constitution supported slavery. He had very good points he made. This speech, he basically wanted to present to people that, how can we as Black people honor the 4th of July? I mean, what does it mean to us? So it's a good speech. You should read it. It's from the Life and Writings of Frederick Douglass, Volume 2 by Philip Foner. And we're going to talk about the buildup to the Civil War and Reconstruction next. Get started on that. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to talking to you again.